consumption.
The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Anjana Dodamgoda and read by Tilani Piris. The headlines. The President to consider private sector proposals for Budget 2024. The Head of State assures bank loan concessions for small and medium-scale industrialists. The new building of Madhyama Noragam Palata Divisional Secretariat vested with the public. The Foreign Minister inaugurates orientation program for heads of missions designated of Sri Lanka. Bangladesh gives essential medicines worth $1 million to Sri Lanka. A flood warning extended for Attanagalu oil. And on international news, King Charles expresses deepest regret for colonial wrongdoings in Kenya. And our sports news, cricket, Sri Lanka records another humiliating defeat after India's bowlers run through their top order. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe has announced his intention to prioritise the inclusion of proposals from the private sector in this year's budget and to separately examine related areas. According to the President's media division, he made these statements while attending a 2024 pre-budget discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday with the leaders of the private sector institutions. During the meeting, the President discussed reform programs designed to help the country recover from the economic crisis it is currently facing and move towards sustainable growth. The leaders of private sector institutions presented proposals to the President focusing on increasing the government revenue and efficiency as well as measures to support various industries, including attracting investors and tourism industry and the garment industry. The new building of the Madhyama Noragam Palata Divisional Secretariat was vested with the public at Pandulagama, Anuradhapura, under the patronage of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena, stated the Prime Minister's office. Attending the event, the Prime Minister said the Buddhist community of the world consider Anuradhapura as one of the oldest cities in the world. This city is under the shade of the most sacred Jayashree Mahabodhi. This divisional secretariat is a special government office in a special city. This divisional secretariat, which consists of the Jayashree Mahabodhi and the Atamasthana, or the 8 sacred places of worship, should be an example for us to continue working as a special office. The Prime Minister's office stated, those who have come and resided in this area for many years now get land rights from the Government Lands Department. According to President Ranil Wickremesinghe's new digital project, all 22,000 homes in this division will be digitalized and will be able to receive messages from these households. This is something new. All the residents of the oldest city in the world should have the ability to work through the new digital network in order to make it a technologically advanced place. Our ministry has allocated the necessary funds for this task. The Foreign Minister Ali Sabri inaugurated a 2-week orientation program for the heads of the mission designate of Sri Lanka at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs on the 1st of November 2023. The Minister Sabri outlined key aspects of Sri Lanka's foreign policy priorities of the present government under the leadership of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. The heads of mission have been appointed at a critical juncture where they are called upon to play an important role in supporting Sri Lanka's economic recovery. The Foreign Secretary Aruni Wijewardena spoke on the role of a head of mission as a manager and leader and highlighted challenges faced by heads of mission in today's context. The orientation program will cover key areas of focus for Sri Lanka missions abroad, including trade and investment, foreign employment, tourism, consular affairs and public diplomacy. The program will also include visits to the northern, eastern and southern provinces as well as interactions with key interlocutors in the private sector and civil society. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The government of Bangladesh has gifted a consignment of essential medicine to Sri Lanka with a total value of $1 million. The handover ceremony has taken place at Bangladesh's Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Dhaka today. The consignment is supplied by Essential Drugs Company Limited of Bangladesh. Meanwhile, during a courtesy call made by the Bangladesh High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Tariq Ariful Islama on Health Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana recently, the High Commissioner has emphasized that the consignment of medicines include 54 types of essential drugs, particularly those for cancer and kidney treatment. The Department of Irrigation has extended the amber flood warnings issued for the low-lying areas of Attanagalu Basin for another 24 hours until 10 p.m. While issuing the flood warning, Irrigation Director SPC Sugishwara said people and motorists are requested to pay high attention to these warnings. Disaster management authorities too are requested to take adequate precautions in this regard. That ends local news now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
The President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized the importance of making the right decisions for the country's economic development. Addressing the gathering during the National Industry Excellence Awards 2023, which took place at the Nelumpukana Theatre in Colombo, President Wickremesinghe highlighted that true leadership involves being honest with the people and making decisions that benefit the nation. The head of state expressed confidence in the youth leadership within the government and the group of young ministers dedicated to working for the country. President Wickremesinghe pledged to collaborate with them to improve the country's economic situation by 2024. Additionally, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced his intention to address bank loan concessions for small and medium-scale industrialists in the upcoming budget, aiming to strengthen Sri Lanka's export-oriented manufacturing economy. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Veda.
And on Watch Light tonight, the Bank of Ceylon customers island-wide experienced service disruptions throughout the day yesterday. An official from the BOC stated that the service disruption was caused due to a technical issue. Contrary to initial reports of a massive malware attack, this was not the case and the bank has successfully restored its computer systems. That came to in Watch Light. Moving on with world news and the headlines first. King Charles expresses deepest regret for colonial wrongdoings in Kenya. Storm Ciaran kills 2, lashes Europe with strong winds and rain. The police say Boko Haram kills 37 in Nigeria's Yobe state. King Charles said he felt the greatest sorrow and deepest regret for atrocities suffered by Kenyans during their struggle for independence from British colonial rule. But in a speech at the start of a 4-day state visit to Kenya, he stopped short of making a full apology called for by survivors of that period and local rights groups who are pressing for reparations from the British government. King Charles said during a state banquet, the wrongdoings of the past are a cause of the greatest sorrow and the deepest regret. The storm Ciaran smashed into northwestern Europe on Thursday with strong winds and driving rain, killing 1 person in France and 1 in Spain as schools, airports and trains halted service. A truck driver was killed by a falling tree northeast of Paris and 1.2 million French households were left without electricity. Authorities in Finisterre, Brittany urged people to stay at home and avoid winds which are hitting 207 kilometers per hour, leading to reports of 20-meter waves off the coast. Militant Islamist group Boko Haram has killed 20 mourners returning from the burial of victims of an earlier attack by the jihadists in northeastern Nigeria. The mourners died after their vehicle drove over an explosive device planted by the insurgents in Yobe state. On Monday, the militants shot dead 17 people in a raid on Gurokayeya village. The police said Boko Haram orchestrated the attacks after the villagers refused to pay a so-called harvest tax. Back to the world news headlines. King Charles expresses deepest regret for colonial wrongdoings in Kenya. Storm Ciaran kills 2, lashes Europe with strong winds and rain. The police say Boko Haram kills 37 in Nigeria's Yobe state. That ends world news.
Development news.
Sri Lanka plans to sign an agreement with China's Sinopec Group to build a refinery in the island's southern Hambantota district, Energy Minister Kanchana Wijasekara said. Sri Lanka plans to ink the agreement within weeks, he told reporters. The only other contender to the refinery project Vitol Singapore withdrew from the race, Minister Wijesekara said. Sri Lanka's government is offering land in Hambantota to build the refinery. That came to you in development news. Moving on with sports news. India took magnificent victory over Sri Lanka in the World Cup match today. India beat Sri Lanka by 302 runs, qualifies for semi-final. India amassed 357 for 8 against Sri Lanka. Virat Kohli 88, Subhamnan Gill 92 and Shiraz Air 82 were the major scorers for the home team. Ravindra Jadeja's 35 of 24 balls pushed India past 350. Left-arm pacer Dilshan Madhushankar was the standout bowler for Sri Lanka, ending with figures of 5 for 80 in 10 overs. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Prime Group, the real estate giant, is proud to introduce an exceptional investment opportunity that promises luxury living, modern amenities with an unbelievable payment plan. The groundbreaking venture is the company's latest 27-story luxury development at the border of Colombo. What sets the development apart is its revolutionary payment structure based on the novel plan. At the pre-launch, a home buyer only requires a 10% reservation fee with no requirement for a down payment. The plan further includes paying just 1% installments spread over 40 months with the balance 50% payable upon handover. Owners are assured of a minimum capital gain of over 100%. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life ekේ change ekata niyamata set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyamata set wenna friendship ekamenna.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Sri Lanka resumed talks with India over the Economic and Technology Cooperation Agreement for the first time after 5 years, as the move was put on halt following a raft of protest in 2018. A joint statement by both governments said Asian neighbours held the 12th round of negotiations on the ETCA in Colombo from October 30th to November 1st. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island during the night. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and Uva provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Showers will occur in coastal areas of the eastern province and in the Hambantota district during the morning hours. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, north central and Uva provinces during the morning hours. That was the weather report, and now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President to consider private sector proposals for Budget 2024. The Head of State assures bank loan concessions for small and medium-scale industrialists. The new building of Madhyama Nuwaragam Palatha Divisional Secretariat vested with the public. The Foreign Minister inaugurates orientation program for heads of mission designate of Sri Lanka. Bangladesh gives essential medicines worth $1 million to Sri Lanka. A flood warning extended for Attanagalu oil. And on international news, King Charles expresses deepest regret for colonial wrongdoings in Kenya. And on sports news, cricket, Sri Lanka records another humiliating defeat after India's bowlers run through their top order. That ends this news broadcast. And now it's back to my friend on the other side, as always on a Thursday night, Marilla Van Dort, all set and ready to give you good music at your request, of course. Back to you, Marilla.